a food writer, and as a food writer living in a foreign country, I spend a lot of time thinking about food and home, sort of what I do. And family recipes have brought me more comfort than I could have imagined in this situation, which got me thinking about how recipes are communicated. See, I believe deeply that food itself is a form of communication. Sure, it fulfills a basic human need, but it also does much more than that. Every recipe tells a story, and the way that they're passed down and popularized speaks volumes about our culture and the time. So today we have this concept of going viral, right? And of course this refers and pertains not only to food, but to all aspects of our life at this point. Just take these as examples. In case my grandmother watches this at some point, or for those of you in the audience who don't know, going viral is not a disease, although this is put on by a medical school, but no, we're talking about anything that is put on the internet, passed around millions of times, it gets millions of hits. Many TED Talks have, in fact, gone viral. When food is involved, people not only pass around a single link, but they also make this recipe. They repost it on their blogs and their Tumblr accounts, and they put their own spin on it. So it gets even more action. A recent study by the Hartman Group found that 49% of online adults today get their information about food through social networking. They found that while people do still turn to traditional sources for food information, like cookbooks and magazines and whatnot, for the most part, millennials, that refers to the me generation, Gen Y, Generation Y, whatever you want to call it, we turn to online resources far more than print ones for their food information and inspiration. This may not seem like groundbreaking news to us now, until you consider the fact that a few years ago it was far from the case. I often think about how I am going to blow my kids' minds when I tell them that my family didn't get a computer until I was 12, just like my dad remembers getting a color TV. Living in Israel, back to barekas. You've probably heard of barekas, I'm assuming. I have them just out there. The stuffed pastries that we all love. What you may or may not know is that they most likely originated here. Istanbul's Topkapi Palace was the longtime center of the Ottoman Empire. Now, the Ottoman Empire's rulers not only had incredible reach and influence around the world, they were also passionate about food. So, and their kitchens, the Topkapi Palace kitchens, boasted hundreds of, they weren't that powerful. They had hundreds of kitchen staff, and who turned out thousands of dishes a day. And dishes that are popular today still the world over, like some of my personal favorites, borek and baklava, were most likely concocted in the Topkapi Palace kitchens and popularized because they were favored by the Sultan. Now take afternoon tea. Probably one of the most quintessentially British culinary traditions. If you're like me, probably assumed that it was the invention of the aristocracy. You'd be 100% correct, it absolutely was. A duchess, Anna, Duchess of Bedford to be exact, started taking tea and light snacks in the afternoon as a way to ward off an afternoon slump, which I'm sure you all are familiar with right about now. So she so enjoyed this, it seems so obvious, but it wasn't at the time, and she so enjoyed this custom that she started inviting friends over. And they were like, hey, this is a really great idea. I love having afternoon tea, brilliant. So they started doing it, and before long, it was all the rage. It had, in essence, gone viral. So, as a side note, also, this is pretty unrelated to my talk, but while I would say that the British royal family today doesn't exert quite as much influence over the taste buds of their subject, I would say that they still exude a certain mystique that fascinates the public. We all saw the hysteria surrounding the Prince William and Kate Middleton nuptials a little while ago. So, In the United States, when there was no royalty to turn to for this kind of influence, recipes were passed down most often from mother to daughter, and from mother to daughter, and had the potential to go viral within a community via church and other society cookbooks. And in place of royalty, people turned to celebrities like strawberry shortcake, which was popularized here by beloved silent film star Mary Pickford in this 1930s Bisquick cookbook, or stylish restaurants like Delmonico's in New York City, which is credited with having invented Eggs Benedict and Manhattan clam chowder and all of these other famous dishes. And probably even more than we realize, brands, commercial brands, have had a huge impact on our eating habits and food trends. Here's a fun fact. In 1945, Betty Crocker was named the second most popular woman in America after Eleanor Roosevelt. Second most popular, after the First Lady of the United States. She came to be called the First Lady of Food. Here's another fun fact. Betty Crocker never existed, not a real person. She was a fictional character that was invented in 1921 by the predecessor to what would become General Mills. And as the face of this company, she brought on this whole new era of convenience cooking, right? With promises like better cakes in less than half the time, and never before such delicious fried foods. And over the years, her image changed in the 90 plus years since she's been around. She's gotten a facelift a few times, and it's always been this composite of what the company believes the American homemaker looks like, whatever that means. Today, people have found a new form of royalty to turn to, food celebrities. So food TV stars, bloggers, famous restaurant chefs, even actors. Gwyneth Paltrow, for example, has made the full crossover transition into food stardom. She has a cookbook and all kinds of things. So these are the contemporary tastemakers today, right? And each of them has their own powerful brand behind them. But it's not only celebrities and royalty today that are making these trends and are deciding the trends. With the internet, it's democratized the way that information and ideas are spread. Thank you, Ted. And it means that your grandmother's meatloaf has just as much potential to go viral and reach a huge audience as Martha Stewart's. And anybody, a reality TV star is just as likely to ignite a viral campaign as anybody, just a regular Joe with a cute baby or a funny cat. Some foods have endured the test of time, like afternoon tea or limonana. They've gone viral and lasted. Others, like, you can't really see it from here, but it's a really gross picture of aspic, which is this dish where things are suspended in like jellied consomme. Some of them have not, they haven't lasted, they've faded, it's okay. And then of course other things, they always have the potential to come back into fashion. So we've seen the resurgence of interest in Julia Child, a culinary icon of the 1960s, after the blog turned movie turned book, Julia and Julia. And other older recipes have the potential to come back as well and are coming back into fashion and are going viral even though they're older. Take, for example, cookbook author Marcella Hazan's recipe for tomato butter sauce. It's this really simple recipe that was first published in a cookbook in 1973. 40 years later, it went viral. It was a total internet sensation. And so recipes that had gone into a certain obscurity have the potential to be sort of rediscovered through social media. So, what's the point of all of this, if you're wondering? Basically, the main idea here is that there have always been trends and trendsetters, right? And ideas have been spread through empires and radio and TV and movies and now the internet. But the internet it's democratized the way that we spread the information, and anybody can say anything and can spread anything. And blogs have become our modern day recipe boxes, right? And in a lot of ways, they're doing a better job than traditional recipe boxes, not to bash Grandma's recipe box, but because they're preserving these cherished family recipes, not only by documenting them, but also by passing them on, not only to their children, but to people around the world. And as for me, I know that while right now, the foods from home I find very comforting, when I return to the States, the flavors of Israel will be what I'm craving. And fortunately, I have a blog and I've been documenting it, and I know that when I want those tastes and those recipes, or when I want to pass them down to my children, I'll be able to reach into my blog, my virtual recipe box, and have. Thank you.